Is it going? Yeah, it's going, okay. Hey everybody, I'm here with Nick Jackson. He's going to help me show some the deep half guard lessons that we're studying this week for some of you guys who are at home and maybe you're not comfortable yet getting into a small group, but you want to study along with us and learn what we're learning. So we're going to look at how we get into the deep half guard position using a scoop grip on our opponent's far leg, just like we did for the roll through sweep. Then we use our legs to pendulum to pull ourselves underneath of our opponent into the deep half guard position. And then once we're in the deep half guard position, we have one of three directions we can go. I can take my opponent off balance them backward, I can off balance them forward, or I can off balance them sideways, going directly forward from my perspective. Again, from deep half, we have backwards, forwards, and straight side. Let's take a look at how to get into the deep half, and then go into our effect from there. So let's scoot a little bit more so we're right in front of the camera. Perfect. So I'm in here. I'm stopping Nick from controlling my head with this inside bicep tie. I'm stopping him from getting in chest to chest. Now from here, I'm going to take my left arm. I'm going to shoot in an underhook underneath of Nick's right arm. And I come up and I grab a tight waist grip here, controlling his hips. My right arm is going to be used as an elbow prop. And then from here, a lot of people are going to take that far leg and they're going to stand up just like so. They're going to take their knee off the mat. Now from here, we looked at the roll through sweep where I took a scoop grip with my right arm. I went in and I took a scoop grip here. Now this scoop grip is also what's going to allow me to go into deep half. Okay? Can you rotate with me a little bit, Nick? So to go into deep half, I'm going to use my left leg as a pendulum, and I'm going to throw my left leg out to the side. As I do that, my right leg is going to pull his two knees apart, and I get him up into this position right here. Okay, I'll do that again. So to enter into the deep half from these good sweeping grips, my left leg pendulums to help me move from my right hip to my left hip, and my right leg back heels is a good, strong inside hook. My goal here is to force Nick's two knees apart from one another. I want to dominate the space between his two knees. I use my left leg to pendulum, and I come up to this good position here. Let's rotate. Now that I'm here, I want to make sure to hide my left arm. If I leave my left arm dangling out here in the breeze, Nick can go ahead and lock up a Kimura or any number of other attacks on this arm. So take this left arm here and hide it underneath of your training partner's leg. Now when Nick goes to lock a Kimura or dig in an underhook, he can't. If my elbow is too far out, now when Nick goes to dig in an underhook, he can pull my arm up and he can start going to attacks here. So we're going to keep our elbow nice and tight to our ribs, and then this is our deep half guard. Now from here, we have three general directions we can go. I can take Nick backward, where I off balance him this way. I have techniques where if his hands are on the mat, I can off balance him in this direction. Or I can also off balance him to the side. So we have backwards, forwards, and then to the side. I hook it under here. I force him up, and I can start to come up into X guard and sweep from here. So let's go over each of those techniques in a little bit more detail. So once I get to the deep half guard, the first technique that I like to do, let's cover off balancing backward first. We have the walk and turn, or the roll through sweep. I'll take my hand here, I'll cover his knee. I'm going to walk with my feet, taking his ankle more in front of his body, leaving a bigger hole here behind. Once I feel he's off balance enough, now I'm going to turn from my left hip to my right hip. And now I can come up on top and I get my sweep. That's our walk and turn. Let's look at our double under lapel sweep. This is going to be our second technique that off balances our opponent in a backward direction. From here, I'm going to come and I'm going to start pulling the lapel to start getting access to the lapel here. You can grip here while the lapel is still tucked into the belt, and you can get okay results here. But you're going to get even stronger results if you pull this out. because now when I pull, it's going to be pulling on the shoulder, higher on the lever. The lever is the spine in this case, right? We're affecting Nick's spine, his posture. The higher up on the lever I can apply that force, the more off balance I'm going to get. If it's tucked in, now when I go to pull, I'm going to be pulling lower on the lever, down at the hips. So we reach up, untuck, and I'm going to pass this off to my left hand here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, where I pull, take the lapel out, and now I have double lapels and double unders. Double under lapel sweep. Now from here, I'm going to start walking forward, pulling him backward, just like so. Now from here, I come up with double unders. I can either drive into him, and if he accepts the stack, I can start to go in and hit my stack pass. If I start to stack Nick, if he straightens his body, he doesn't allow me to stack him, I'm going to use these two lapels to help me turn him over to turtle. I stand up, I pull up with the lapels, and I can force him to expose his back. Now from here I can go into a number of back takes and start to work for the choke there. So those are our two techniques, off balancing him backward. We have our walk and turn, otherwise known as the Homer Simpson sweep. And we have our double under lapel sweep. Let's look at taking our opponent forward now. So from the deep half, we know how to get here. I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to grab the middle of the belt, right behind him. Okay? Let's rotate really quick so you can see where I'm grabbing. I grab right here, the middle of the belt. Now, what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to take my right leg, hook underneath of his ankle, and I'm going to pass his leg off from my right ankle to my left. Now I'm going to use my hook to start to force Nick forward, pushing on his back. Now I'm starting to come out from behind Nick. Notice I pushed him far enough forward that my head came free. I don't want my head caught underneath of his body, or here. Now my left ankle stays behind this knee for a second, and my left arm blocks this knee. I go to a right butterfly hook or a rear right butterfly hook, and a left rear butterfly hook. Now from here, if I can reach up and grab the lapel right here in the back of the neck, this gives me good control of the shoulders. So I have control of the hips through the belt, and I have control of the shoulders through this grip right at the back of the neck, gripping inside the collar. Now from here, I can use these grips to start to pull Nick, extending them with my legs, and I get into a back take scenario. I can put my hooks in, I can go and start to grab my seat belt. Let's look at another way that can finish. So from the deep half, once again I grab that belt, I hook underneath, I make my pass off, I off balance him forward, block behind the knee, rear butterfly hook in, second rear butterfly hook in. Let's back up. So now from here, I want to grab that grip. But what Nick is going to do, he's not going to posture up and give that grip to me. He's going to start to try to tuck and roll because he wants to hide his back from me. As I feel this happen, I'm going to ride up with him, post my hand on the mat, and I cover the hips right here. Now from here, I can work my way around the side as I look to pass guard. So that covers off balancing our opponent forward. We use our hooks to pass the leg over. I come out from underneath and behind him. I grab the belt to control the hips. And then I want to control the shoulders at that back of the back of the neck. So I can take the back through the hip control and the shoulder control. If I can't get the shoulder control and he rolls, I follow him up and I cover the hips to work my guard passing. Lastly, we have a technique that takes our opponent not backward, not forward, but to the side. We take our opponent sideways into the X guard. Let's take a look at this. So I get in, I get my scoop grip with my right arm, my left leg pendulums, and I come up to this good position here. rotate. Perfect. Now, in this one, my right arm is going to stay on the near leg here. We're going to make our same pass off with the feet, making one hook here, and I pass it off to my left leg here. Now my left ankle is going to force his knee away. I want to continue to separate his two knees apart from one another. As I force this knee away, it's going to pull this leg, this knee over here, off the mat. And that's going to give me the space I need to go into X guard. X guard here. Now I can look to start coming up. I'm going to perform a hip heist. And now I can start to run him down and get my sweep out of the X guard. Let's look at one last little variation out of the X guard as well. So I'm here, I take my underhook, tight waist. I take my scoop grip here, and I come up into the deep half guard position. Deep half, because we're deep underneath him. From here, I make my little hook, I make a pass off, and I force his two knees to separate, which gives me the room for X guard. Now Nick is going to stay up on his right foot, and he wants to try to drive that back into me off of his right foot. So now when I go to try to stand up, it's so hard because all of his weight's over me, because he can drive off of that right foot. So let's take that right foot off the mat. I'm going to take my foot out of the hip here, and I'm going to go down here to the ankle. Now my goal, I'm going to use my 2 feet together to lift Nick's leg off the mat, and then I'm lifting his ankle and dropping him to his knee. To his knee here. Good base. On your hands. Perfect. Now he's on his knee, so now when Nick goes to drive back into me, he's only driving off of his knee and he doesn't have the same power. Now it's so easy for me to come up, complete my hip heist, and start to run him down. Alright, thank you very much, Nick, I appreciate it. So, there you guys have it at home. That's what we're studying here during week 3 of our deep half guard study. Again, once we can take that scoop grip and use our legs to pendulum, we can get deep in underneath of our opponent. Once we're in deep half, we have 3 general directions we can go. I can take my opponent and off balance them backward for our walk and turn / Homer Simpson sweep, or for our double under lapel sweep. I can take my opponent and off balance them forward. From there I can look at taking the back, and I can also go into single legs and double legs, which I haven't shown you yet. Maybe we can come back and look at that here in a second. Or I can take my opponent straight sideways with the X guard. Okay? So we have backwards, walk and turn, and the double under lapel. Forward with the back take, double leg or single leg, or straight sideways with the X guard. Let's take a quick look at the double leg and single leg. Deep half for me. We come up to our good deep half guard position here, just like when we were doing the back take, but this time I'm not going to grab the belt. I'm going to stay right here. I make my hook underneath the ankle, I make a pass off, and now I'm going to start to push Nick's weight forward. Now from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to scissor my legs, putting my knee right behind his ankle, and I come up. Now from here, this would be another back take, okay? So another variation of the back take there, but let's look at the double leg and single leg, where now instead of putting my knee behind his ankle, I'll put my knee in front of his ankle. I make my pass off, I put him forward. Now I take my right knee, and I put it in front of his ankle. Let's back up. I don't know if the camera can see this. I off balance him forward. Now when I scissor my legs, my knee goes in front of his ankle here. That's going to allow me to come around the corner, reach across, and now I can drive into him for a good double leg. The single leg comes in if he defends the double. Once again, I take Nick and I off balance him. I scissor my legs, putting my knee in front of his ankle right here. Now if I try to reach across and I just can't find that second leg, I can come up, and if Nick stands up with me, we end up in this good position here, Rebecca. and I come up on a single leg. From here I take the lapel, and then a little fancy footwork. 1, 2, 3, to knock them out. So we go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we take them down. All right? Yeah. Sorry about that. So that's our single legs and our double legs when we off bounce our opponent forward. So one more time, quick recap. We take our scoop grip, leg pendulum, get underneath for deep half. From there we have three general directions. Off bounce my opponent backward with walk and turn or double under lapel. Sweeps. Off bounce my opponent forward with back takes, double legs, and single legs. Or off bounce my opponent sideways by stretching the knees apart and going into the X guard. And from the X guard we have a number of ways that we can break them down. We can either come up into our technical stand-up, our hip heist, or if our opponent is trying to drive back in off that far leg, we take the ankle off the mat so they lose the ability to drive. We put their knee down, and now that they can't push back in, now it's so easy to hip heist and complete the sweep. So I hope that's a good breakdown, good overall tutorial for our deep half guard position. And then next week we're going to be coming back into the academy and learning what to do and how to take the back out of our standard deep half guard. So we're going to back away from the deep half, go back to our underhook tight waist, and then our opponent's going to put in a whizzer to stop us from taking the back, and we need to figure out how to beat that whizzer. Let me give you a quick introduction to this. Let's go this way. So when I'm here, Nick puts in this whizzer right here, where he overhooks my arm. And as a result, as I try to hip heist out, that whizzer blocks me. If Nick didn't have that whizzer in, let's say he just had his arm over my back, now the arm doesn't block me. I can bump him forward, get underneath the arm, and I can take the back here. Back up a little bit. So next week, we're going to be looking at different ways that we can deal with that whizzer. Okay? So that'll be next week's lesson. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching, guys.